Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the show.
Alaikum salam. How you doing, man?
I'm very good. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Honestly, it's a crazy. We've got an amazing show lined up today, dear viewers. This is part 3 of our discussion. Those can check our YouTube page and see the other 2 parts, but this is part 3. The show is entitled The Life of Purpose, building that life of purpose. That's what we're trying to create, to impart some wisdom onto you. And today in our discussion, we're going to be looking at creating the best version of you. But why are we doing that? To know yourself is to know your Lord. And if you know yourself, inshallah, and create the best version of yourself on the day of Qiyamah, when you land in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, I had this intention for you, but you didn't live up to your fullest potential. So how do we get to that full potential? How do we create that best version of ourselves? And who else but Brother Muhammad to give us some insights? Brother, we were talking before the show. This journey of betterment within life is so important. And I think not a lot of us really invest in that. Don't really look at the root causes. A lot of us is eat, sleep, pray, repeat. And we don't come out of that comfort zone. Do you think there's fear in there? Do you think, why do people just want to live within their bounds?
I don't think they realize they're in their bounds. I think this, number one, I don't like talking about it as if they and us, it's we.
Yes,
all,
it's
right?
all of us, it's human race, right?
I think that...
Comfortable, we like to be comfortable.
Yes, and it's a survival mechanism. We want to survive, we don't want to put ourselves in a position where we might be jeopardizing our life. And I think our ego thinks that we will be if we're putting ourselves outside of our comfort zone.
Yeah.
It thinks that, hold on a minute, if I attempt this thing, which I might fail at, the relationship we have with failure is a negative one, because just the way that we've been geared to survive is that you shouldn't fail.
Yeah.
And I think even if you think about when you grow up, your parents tell you don't fail. Our relationship with failure is such a negative one that actually we feel like every time we might step into the unknown, there's a risk of failure.
Yeah.
And with the risk of failure, it means that you don't want to attempt it. Now, what happens when you don't attempt it? That's when you stay in that comfort zone.
Yes.
But that comfort zone, if you don't attempt things that might make you fail, it means that every time you attempt something, you succeed.
Yes.
What's the problem with succeeding every time you attempt something? Is that you're never actually learning anything.
You don't learn, exactly.
Yeah. So failure is the number one way to learn anything. Fail, then you learn something. If you don't fail, then everything's easy.
That's
but
right.
actually, when you fall flat on your face, you go, okay, hold on, what should I learn there?
Yeah.
But if everything's smooth sailing, you never learn.
That's it.
So I think that's part of what it is. I think it's a fear of failure, but it's built into us from a young age.
I guess it's the way that people look at fear in that respect, because, rightly so, you said, like, at the beginning of your life, you're told that don't do this, don't do that. But if we go back to the core essence of when, we were trying to walk as babies, we're fearless. We would just get up and we would fall and we would get back up again and we would fall, even eating for ourselves, feeding ourselves, going
missing our mouth, just completely just straight into the eyeball.
Exactly. So does society then put that on you? So does society give you that blinker and that anchor? That's a really interesting concept that we should look at.
You know what? That's actually something. So I do a lot of talks with young people, and I have this slide which I show all of them when I'm talking about sort of growth, and it's a baby that's fallen flat on its face. And I always get them to put their hand up, like, who here's got a younger brother or a sister or a sibling? And I tell them, put your hand up if this looks familiar, right? It's a baby that's fallen flat on its face. And I tell them, every single one of you have walked into this room today. Clearly you were able to get past that stage.
Yes.
And now imagine at that stage you fell flat on your face and you thought to yourself, you know what, this whole walking thing I see everyone doing, it's just not for me. I'm not going to try.
I
mean, you'd live your life just never seeing what you could have been.
Can you imagine?
Never. And I think, and that's a really interesting question you raise about at what point in life do we then start to take less risks? Because if every single child keeps trying to walk, it means that we have that fearlessness.
That's it.
And an ability to take on risks early on in life. And then as you grow up, you take less and less risks. And I think where people really stop taking risks is when it comes to like doing the things they're passionate about, or quitting that 9 to 5 because of this. And I think what starts to happen is you start to attach too many dependencies on your life.
That's right.
And then the risk is too high. You can't take the risk because what about my child? What about my partner? What about the mortgage? What about all these things start to really make up the ante of the risk. And that's why I like talking to young people, because they got nothing to risk yet.
Yes, that's right.
Right? Like, go pursue your dreams, and if it doesn't work out, you can always get a 9 to 5.
Yeah, exactly. That's as your fallback plan, right?
As a fallback plan.
Yeah, I think inherently, you know, generally through adult life, we carry what we've learned from the 3rd trimester of birth all the way through to about the age of 7. That kind of shapes us. So if we're told negative things, if we're told we can't do this, if don't try that, don't touch this, that kind of negative talking, that holds the shell. So, I mean, if you look at, let's take a top athlete, a top swimmer, a top runner, who's continuously encouraged at a young age to nurture their talent, their skill, their ability, a pilot, you work in that industry, that have been grown and told, yes, aim for the sky. If you go for aim for the moon, if you miss, you're going to hit the stars. You know, you can do this, you can do that. At that young age, what's going to happen when you get to that adult? So we need to re-engineer our thinking, because we're in this adult state. If your viewers, maybe your young viewers right now, try to think outside of the box and outside of that comfort zone. Just taking a few steps sometimes can make the massive difference.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's on the parents' responsibilities really to if your child or if your nephew or niece comes to you and they have this wild dream, they're like, I want to be this. The last thing you should do is try and discourage them, really.
Yeah.
Because I mean, tell them to be more realistic. That's what they do. You're just giving them the recipe for a miserable life, to just aim for something realistic and just go with that. Yeah. I really struggle when I see parents that sort of tell their young people that actually, no, you can't do that. I mean, I have a niece. She's now 13 years old. She's an amazing baker.
To your niece,
Sarah, if you're watching this
a great baker.
You're
we
an
expect
amazing
some
baker.
Cupcakes, inshallah.
Yeah, she's an amazing baker, and I tell her from a young age, I'm trying to encourage her. I signed her up for the Junior Bake Off.
Oh wow!
She got to the final interview round for that. And I just keep telling her as many bakes as you can, people buying from her.
Keep going,
and I tell her, listen, one day you're gonna have a bakery in Paris, and you're gonna be one of the best bakers that are around. And I just,
well, she's got a really good uncle, obviously.
She has a dream, and I'm like, you know what? She's 13 years old. If she keeps pumping out cakes till for the next 10 years, she'll be 23 with 10 years with more. She started when she was about 8 years old.
Wow.
So if she keeps doing that, she'll have 15 years of experience at the age of 23. Not many 23-year-olds have 15 years of experience in the kitchen. So I'm just thinking, doing the maths, like she'll have enough experience to be able to just blow anyone out of the water when it comes to baking. So I'm like, okay, well, that's a rule. Like, if you have a young person with a dream, like, okay, how many hours of practice can we squeeze in each week for you to become the best at whatever you want to be? And I think
it's phenomenal.
Putting in the reps is a really important thing.
It is, definitely.
For me, for example, being here today is a rep, right?
Just sitting next to you for me is a rep.
What type of rep? It's like, I want to be a public speaker. So every opportunity I get to public speak, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Anything you want to do,
put
yourself in a position where you're getting as many reps as you can.
Amazing.
The more reps you get, the better you
become. The gym philosophy, right?
It's the gym
philosophy. You're not going to grow, you're not going to get big muscles.
I'm not sure we're both able to talk about the gym.
We've got a bit of cover here so people can't see much. But you go to the gym and, you just...
You're flexible though.
That's
you can do the splits.
Well, it didn't take... I didn't do the splits overnight. It's years and years of stretching and years and years of training. And
that's the key.
To get to it. And it's consistency, which is the main thing.
Yeah.
It's like Edison said, his attitude was, when he created the light bulb, we all use lights, everybody, we all use that to light ourselves. He created the light bulb, and he said, thousands upon thousands of times he failed.
Yeah.
But he didn't see it as failure. He saw it as ways not to do it. So, okay, I tried it this way, it blew up. Okay, I've learned not how to do it.
Exactly.
I've learned not how to do it until one day, bang, the light went on.
Yeah.
And that's the attitude that we need to have in our lives. We don't realistically take that on board.
Yeah.
What intrigues me, because we're talking about creating the best version of ourselves, what happens when you get into adult life? How do we then break the shackles of what we have been programmed to believe in the matrix of life?
Yeah.
You can't do this. Don't try that. Stay within your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Be a doctor, be an optician, be this, be that. This is what's going to make you money.
Yeah.
Rather than go and work at an airport like you do.
Yeah.
Start a social media account, which you do. Thinking outside the box, thinking I can do more with my life. How do you break that shackle?
I once was told by somebody who's considerably older than I am, but was a really interesting perspective. I've never heard it before. He told me that you should always question your values as if you're 25 years old or 21 years old. And I was like, what do you mean? Why 21?
Yeah.
And he said, because when you're a 21-year-old, you're still figuring yourself out.
Amazing.
But then when you get to 50, you feel like you've already figured yourself out. But he's like, actually, if you're always in the mindset of a 21-year-old, you're continuously trying to figure it out.
Yes.
You're continuously trying to ask questions. You don't assume you've got anything. Because at 21, you're like, what's this world that we're living in? Like, just came out of uni, what job, what do I want to do, where do I want to go? You're just constantly questioning your value structure, you're questioning who you are, who you want to hang around with. He was like to me, listen, if you get to the age of 15, you can still question your life in the same way, then that's a good place to be in. And I quite like that perspective, to be honest with you, because it's like, just be curious. Like, don't stop being curious. And I think about two things. You mentioned it in the beginning of the show. Curious about yourself. And why curious about yourself? Because when you get to know yourself,
you know your creator, right?
So if you stop being curious about yourself, what you technically stop being curious about, you're not curious about God anymore.
There you go.
As if you've already understood Him. We both know you can never understand God. But if you stop seeking yourself and seeking that internal journey, then technically you've stopped seeking the external journey towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. Assuming that you've already achieved it.
There you go.
You can't ever know God. So I think that hadith of man arafa nafsah arafa rabbah insinuates that you'll never know yourself.
Not fully.
Never fully.
Because you'll never know what you were born with. Your potential is.
It's an unlimited pit.
It's unlimited, that's right.
But that's the cool thing.
We die using a third of our brain capacity. You know, we never really stretch go to our fullest capacity.
I've never thought of it like that before, you know. That's like reverse engineering the hadith to say, man arafa nafsah arafa rabbah. If you know yourself, then you know your Lord. So then trying to know your Lord, you'll never know basically, God is infinite.
Totally.
And that hadith is basically telling us that you are also infinite. So hence why you need to keep digging. And I think the more you dig, the more it evolves and it shifts, because actually the deeper you go, the more you reflect. It's like pieces of the puzzle that are being put together. It's like you've got a massive sack full of puzzle pieces, and the more you get to know yourself, all that's happening is you're clicking together this infinite puzzle.
But there's always pieces missing.
There's always.
And you can never get that full picture.
Because that full picture is connected to God. And
go.
God is infinite. So it's an infinite puzzle that you're trying to build.
But what we focus on is one piece of that puzzle.
Yeah.
And we look at it, and I'm talking about myself, we look at that one piece and go, actually, I've created this.
Yeah, and
this is my life. This is what I've got. I've got that. You know, I've got the house, I've got the children, I've got my life, I've got my job. This is my picture.
But what you don't realize is that the picture still has lots of place to connect more things onto it.
Exactly.
And actually, you have all the pieces at your disposal. You just need to start clicking them into place. And that's that curiosity to pick up the next piece and be like, what about this?
And it might not actually fit into the picture. It might be the top right-hand corner.
Or it might be that 5 years down the line that'll fit in.
There you go.
So you might have discovered something about yourself where you're like, you know what, I'm really creative, but I can't see the space in my life to be creative right now. But actually, if you keep searching, there will be a place for that creativity to click in somewhere. But you just need to keep building that picture of yourself.
So it's that curiosity, that ability to keep on searching deep within yourself and keep on developing yourself. Now, Plato says this quote, which I agree with but disagree with. He says, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. To a degree, I agree with it. But I think that first step actually starts with you. You have to be the one that wants to make that step. You're the one that's got to get out of the chair, out of the couch, out of the comfort zone and decide to make that step. But how do you do it, Mohammed? How do people going to actually motivate themselves to get up and say, I'm going to be curious today. I'm going to do something different today that I did yesterday to change my outcome for tomorrow.
For me, it always comes back to one thing, man. I just imagine myself on my deathbed. It's that simple.
That's sant.
And it sounds so like cliche and
no,
this,
it's
that,
not
and the other.
cliche though.
I remember before I started my Instagram page, I was like, what if I don't do any of this stuff? You know, like what if I live a full life and I'll be an engineer. I'll do the engineering stuff and
pretty good job,
pretty stable, get a mortgage, have whatever, wife, kids, whenever that
Yeah,
comes.
exactly.
And I'll just do that. And I thought to myself, I was looking around and I see all these people who started a YouTube channel and then 5, 10 years later, they've completely transformed their own lives, the lives of the people around them, everyone. And I thought to myself, hold on, imagine I'll be 50, 60, 70 years old on my deathbed and I didn't do any of it.
Yeah.
And I look back at my life, I had a phone, I knew how to make videos, I was creative, I knew how all these things could be done, but I just never actually done it. I would have been so regretful. And I knew that, but I knew it. I could tell you straight away, I will regret it.
Yep.
If I don't start it, I will regret it.
Amazing.
And in the same way, I thought to myself, when a lot of my friends were like, bro, you know how to speak, man. You should speak more. I was like, but I'm an engineer. Didn't fit into that. Didn't fit into that puzzle that I'd already made.
Yourself.
I had already made the puzzle pieces that I was looking at.
Yeah.
And then they were like to me, you should speak. And I'm like, but that doesn't, where do I... But then I kept putting in the work, and it is all of a sudden I built like an extension, and I was like, hold on, this can fit right here. And I remember asking myself, I'm like, if God's given me a talent that I can speak,
Yes.
on the day of judgment, He's going to ask me about this.
There you go.
He's going to be like, didn't I give you an ability to articulate yourself? What did you use that for?
Yeah.
What good did the world see because of that talent that I gave you? And that talent, for the viewers, it could be an ability to be creative.
Yep.
It could be an extreme level of empathy. It could be so many different things that are soft skills that people might have just pointed out to you, not necessarily something that, you know, is on a CV or anything like that. It's just it's a small inkling, a tendency that you have that other people don't have, that actually, if directed correctly, could do immense good on the world and can transform people's lives. But right now, you're not giving yourself the opportunity to use it. How can you start adding pieces of your puzzle and building another side of you where this piece clicks perfectly and adds value into its own ecosystem, rather than just being part of this other ecosystem that you think you're limited to? You can build an entire extension part, and as you do that, you begin to discover yourself, and as you discover yourself, you discover Allah, and you begin to realize why He's put you on earth. You begin to realize the bigger picture, that actually I have this skill, this talent that God's given me because the world needs it in this way, and He will pave that path for you. But you got to take that first step.
Yep.
You got to discover that thing that's within you and then try and use it. Force yourself to use it. And when you do, God will unlock so much more and so much more opportunities for you to use it. And then you'll be getting calls left, right and center, people saying, can you come? Can you help us? We need this from you. We need this from you. Because you've discovered that thing that you're good at. And then as soon as you've discovered it, people will give you the opportunity to use it.
Yeah, definitely. I like, you know, what you said within that is so true. Direction plays a big part in it, right? We'll look at the direction of travel, we'll follow the sat-nav. We're programmed to follow that particular route, rather than taking our own initiative to follow a similar route, but maybe we're taking back roads and maybe we're taking a different journey. That direction of travel sometimes is where we lack. We'll go where we've set our mind to. So like you said, I could have just been an engineer. I typecast myself as an engineer. You know, I'm not going to start this Instagram page. Leave it to somebody else to do that.
Or maybe someone else already started one, so there's no place for me
there's
anymore.
no place for me. Where am I going to find that? You know, but you taking that initial step, that direction at that particular point, you didn't know which way it was going to take you, but you took that almost a leap of faith. You have a skill, you have a talent, you could do something. I can create videos. Friends, people around you, your brothers said, you can talk. Why don't you use that skill? And you utilize that, and now you've mixed it and blended the two together, and you've created something for yourself. It's that first step. You didn't know which direction it was going to go in.
And I would have never, ever predicted it to get to where it is so quickly as well.
Yes.
And that's what I mean by God paves it for you.
That's it. You
like,
take one step towards Him.
He takes 7 towards you.
There you go.
And He'll build a highway in the process.
Exactly.
You know?
Yep.
It's unbelievable. I was telling my dad before I left to come here, by the way, I was like to him,
God bless
3
your
years
father,
ago,
by the way.
yeah, God bless him.
Great
Him and
man.
my mum, both. I was telling them, I was like, it's crazy. 3 years ago, I set up this Instagram page and I used to message engineering societies in London saying, can I come and speak? 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 And I used to go out of my way to try and like get speaking opportunities to get the reps in. And that was like, it was like cringe, you know, you're asking a society, can I? But I was like, you know what? If I don't do it, they're never going to know I exist.
Exactly.
So I just done it, and I done it, and I done it, and I done it. And like now I get people saying, can you come and speak?
Now
so it's the
getting
opposite.
invited,
It's rather than me asking. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what does this. But not only that, it's like actually, you know, how much do you charge to come speak is the question they ask. And I'm like to myself, hold on, what?
Actually, turning it on its head now, you're getting paid to come and speak.
And it's the thing that 4 years ago I dreamed about.
There you go.
But how did it happen?
Yeah.
Because you take one step.
There you go.
And then God does the rest. But you just got to consistently take at least one step.
Yeah.
And you got to go one at a time. Every day you do a little bit, and then God just opens up so much more. And that's one thing I've noticed, that you identify the thing that God's given you. You put a niyyah in your heart that you want to use it to serve humanity.
Yes.
And He will look after the rest.
That's it.
But you need to understand yourself, identify what it is that you got to give the world, and start just that much. Just start on a little level.
Yeah.
And just let Him do the rest.
The smallest changes have the biggest impacts.
Yeah.
As we know, great book, Atomic Habits. We always talk about that book. The smallest atom, the smallest cycle of a change that's done consistently, as you said, consistency is key, has the biggest impact in your life, and it could just be anything. How do you discover what your talent is, though? How do you discover what, start at 8 o'clock in the morning, I finish at 7 at night, and I'm doing dentistry.
Yeah.
I've studied 9 years doing that, but it's a dead-end job. I don't like doing it. How do I make a change? How do I discover what my talent is?
You need to look back on a week and ask yourself, when was that 30 minutes that just flew by because I was just loving it. I was so lost in whatever I was doing that 30 minutes just was like flew past. Didn't even realize. An hour, 2 hours went right past. Maybe it was a particular part of your day. Maybe there was one person who came in and you had a really interesting discussion. They had a 45-minute appointment, and the first 30 minutes of that appointment, you lot were just talking about a particular subject.
Yes.
What subject were they talking about?
That
tells you about yourself. It's the only thing that you're going to be able, the only way you're going to be able to figure out what you're good at is if you look at parts of your life that have happened and try to figure out which of those are the ones where time just warps and you actually loved that, whatever that was.
That great satisfaction.
Yeah, that flow state. Right? For me, if I look back in 2017, I used to be sat with my friends once and I was talking about personal development. Like that, though, it happened 3 times in a week where I had just finished reading this book and I was explaining to my friends all the stuff that I learned in that book. And it was 45-minute chunks at a time where those 45 minutes were like this.
Flew by. And
they were all listening and like engaged and they would tell me by the end of it, like, wow, Mo, that was really good. You should be a motivational speaker. And it happened 3 times in 1 week.
Wow. And
I was like, that was when God gave me the sign. He was like,
that's the sign, isn't it? The light bulb moment. We talk about Edison.
But I was this close to being like, well, I'm just an engineer.
So that's mindset.
Yeah.
So I'm an engineer. That's your mindset.
Yeah.
But actually, I want to be a motivational speaker.
But I didn't know I wanted to be a motivational speaker back then. It's just that my friends were telling me, yo, you're good at this.
Yeah. Encouragement from people around you.
Yeah. And like your friends will tell you you're good at something before you realize you are. Because when you're good at something, you kind of just do it.
You can't see it, right?
You just do it. And for you, it just feels normal. Like you just do it. But then to everyone else, they're like, how'd you do that?
Yeah.
And you're like, I just did it. They're like, how? And you're like, I just did it. Yeah. So figure out what it is that you just do, that your friends are like, how'd you do that? It could be baking, it could be creativity, it could be empathy, it could be changing someone's mind, it could be making someone feel safe, it could be anything.
Yeah. Computers. Like
computers.
A lot of these kids now.
Yeah.
They're whizzes on these computers.
Literally.
Honestly.
Everyone's grandma's like, how'd you fix the Wi-Fi? I mean, just reset it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But if you get into your flow state, resetting the Wi-Fi, then you never know.
Control, Alt, Delete. Literally pausing your life and looking at it. Yeah. But to get to that state, dear viewers, you've got to invest that time in yourself, and invest in that time, you have to stop. You have to press pause. You have to press Control, Alt, Delete. Look at the task manager. Yeah. What's not responding in your life? Why am I literally,
trying to click furiously on something?
Exactly. We don't give ourselves enough time. Again, I talk about myself. Throughout your day, you're constantly maybe working a 10-hour shift. You're waking up in the morning. You're making the breakfast. You're looking after the family. What time do you carve out of your day to even stop and reflect? Now, a Shia of Ali, alhamdulillah, 5 times a day, Allah has given us this gift of salah. But do we just pray ritualistically, or can we utilize that time to stop and give yourself even a few minutes, 30 seconds, to stop, ponder and reflect? What have I done since Fajr? What am I doing at Dhuhr? What's going on between Asr and Maghrib? What am I going to be doing? What have I done? What have I enjoyed for the day? And using that time as reflection time. Surely that's how you start to think. You've got to give yourself the space. True?
Yeah, and the most transformative period of my life, when all of these things were happening, and I say it because it happened. It was like a 6-month period of my life. I used to meditate.
Yes.
I don't meditate anymore, which is a habit that I really want to get back into. And it's something that I guess literally just do nothing to get into a habit. It's contradictory.
It's crazy.
It's a habit of doing nothing.
But like you said, it's the consistency, right?
Yeah.
Finding your space, keeping it consistent, creating your environment.
And the Salah's made it wajib basically to sit down and do this thing.
Yeah.
But there is a slight variation between meditation and Salah. They share a lot in common, but there is variations.
Definitely.
But actually, it was when I gave my brain the headspace to allow the dust to settle, is where the clarity came from.
There you go.
And I think allowing the dust to settle is a great analogy.
Yes.
Because it literally is like a sandstorm in our mind with all these thoughts.
Yeah.
And that meditative state, or that Salah khushu' that we all strive for, which is very difficult to achieve, but we all strive for.
Yeah.
Allowing that dust to settle just allows everything to become so much clear. And that's when you can start to say, hold on a minute, Tuesday at 4 o'clock, I was in my flow state. Yeah. And I was doing this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would have just been... and
100 miles an
hour. You wouldn't be able to go back and identify those things. For me, like sometimes I notice it while I'm driving. Like I was telling you this before we started the show, is that just today I came to a conclusion about how much I appreciate autumn. I was the type of person who loved spring and summer. Those are my two favorite things.
Yes.
But now I look at trees that are like still green, but the edges are golden and the top is red. Yeah. And I just think to myself, wow, like that is so stunning. Yes. And what I really begin to think, but what I started to reflect about that was that every single season of our lives has so much beauty in it, even if initially you don't appreciate it. Yes. Like initially, if you had told me what's your favorite season, I would have never thought about autumn. But only now, at the age of 26, I've always known autumn, all the trees change color, but now I look at a tree and I'm like, wow, that is stunning. That is absolutely beautiful. And I'm beginning to appreciate how, even as a human being, we are like trees. There's a lot of different things we can learn from trees. And actually, as a person, you will go through a season which you may not initially have appreciated, but as you mature over time, you begin to realize the beauty of it. Yes. Right? And for me, like, that's the introspection where maybe you might learn something about yourself this week. Yes. Where you go, oh my God, how can I click this piece of the puzzle onto my picture? There you go. But if you assume that you were set and this is who I am, then even when you find that puzzle, you'll just discard it. Throw it away. Yeah. Because you'll be like, nah. But actually, if you say, hold on a minute, there's a gem here, there's something here in this. I can click this in. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. Maybe I can start to build it in. You know, maybe I can start to grow this part of me. It's just about when you discover these little parts of yourself. Yeah. Don't just discard it. No. Because that's something that God put in you for a reason. That's right. And you never know, if you pursue it, you might open up a whole new chapter of your life. Exactly. It's a whole expansive part of your own personal universe that you could potentially open. It's really interesting we start talking about seasons, because there's lessons in it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has gifted us these seasons. You know, we have the 4 seasons. You see the change in autumn right now. You see the leaves fall in. You see them creating and shedding away their traumas, their pains, the things that they don't need to hold on to for the winter, for the cold period. And then it leaves space for regrowth and for renewal. So the cycle of the seasons, Allah is showing us as individuals, as human beings, we can let go of our anchors, our masks, our traumas, our blinkers, the things that we have, just shed them away to allow new things to grow. Even that each day Allah is showing us. You know, we look, and I was speaking to a client today actually, and I said, you know, does the sun rise and does the sun set? We were standing there watching the sunset, and they were like, yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? I said, what way are we moving? What do you mean? I said, the sun is not setting
and the sun never rises. The earth is constantly rotating, constantly moving. So what is Allah telling us within that? There needs to be continuous cycle, continuous movement within ourselves, so we can develop, keep moving forward, keep moving, keep on reshaping ourselves. So we look at the seasons, we look at the days, we look at what we have, we look at each gift, the 86,400 seconds we're given each day, and we start with that springboard. Allah's showing us so much beauty around us. Like you said, the seasons. And I'm so glad you appreciate autumn right now, because for me, Habibi, it's like, it's the season.
Yeah.
If there was no autumn, there would never be a spring. And if there was no winter, there would never be a summer.
Yeah.
But what is God trying to teach us within this? What is it? Do we run across, we were driving up here, do we actually look at the trees? Do we look at the sun? Do we look at the moon? Do we look at the stars? Everyone was looking at the moon today, praying their Salat Ayah. Hopefully, people did pray it, inshallah, it's wajib, inshallah. But what does the eclipse show us? Total movement within the universe. But what's moving within your universe? That constant movement is how we create that flow and that energy.
Yeah, I think that beauty that you're describing there is how the universe is contained within us, and I think that's something that we learn from the hadith of Imam Ali or the hadith associated with Imam Ali about the universe being within us. But it's more than just the universe that's within us. It's like God, like that essence of God, the ruh of Allah, right? That is within us, and it's all reflected upon each other, but just on a smaller or a wider scale.
That's right.
And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran that, you know, within this there are lessons for those of you who ponder, for those of you who think, for those of you who, you know, so that He's basically hinting at us, like, listen, make some space to think in your life, because if you do, you'll find lessons. And for me, it's those moments of peace, those moments of silence where you can start to click things together. And honestly, I'm so grateful for them, because they make my life so much more rich and meaningful. That ability to just sometimes, and it doesn't happen often as I'd love for it to, right? That ability to get that moment of clarity where you learn something new about the world or about yourself, and you say, wow, like, I love that. Like, I really enjoy that.
Like you said, the dust, allowing the dust to settle. I think for me, myself, you know, it's the salah, and I'm not saying the salah overtakes the meditation, but the salah forces you to stop within your daily routine. It, you know, middle of your day, dhuha, azan is called. At the moment in the UK, just before 1 p.m, right before the clocks go back, got to stop your busy schedule, you know, and you've got a small period of time during the winter to pray. Otherwise, you're going to miss it, and then it becomes qaza. So then you're forced to stop. In that moment of stopping and praying, you are in wudu, you are facing the best direction, the Qibla. Why not take that 30 seconds, that minute, just to stop and to think and to pause and to ground yourself? Like you say, you let the dust settle, you do a little bit of pondering, you get presence of mind, and then when you pray your salah, hopefully, inshallah, you'll be all connected within your salah.
Inshallah.
So the salah, the ritual of praying the 5 a day, is an opportunity for you to stop. If we're creating that space to think and reflect and ponder, like you say, Allah says, it's there for you, for those that ponder. So where do we ponder? The Prophet, peace be upon him, says beautifully, right? He says, your contemplation is worth 70 years worth of salah. You know, but when do we get that point where we contemplate, we stop and relax and think, and what are we thinking about? Are we thinking about what we're going to cook for dinner? How am I going to make that spaghetti bowl? You know, what have I got to do at work tomorrow? I've got to pick this guy up. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. But no, it's about clearing the mind and doing a bit of meditative thinking.
And I'd ponder on that hadith, actually. Why is it that an hour of thinking is worth 70 years? 70 years is a whole lifetime.
Yeah, it's a whole lifetime, pretty much. But the actual hadith is bigger than that, because he was said to 3 people.
Okay.
And the first person was equated to 7 hours, and then the second was about 70 days, and the third person was 70 years.
Okay.
And Amir Mu'mineen alayhi salam was told all 3 by 3 people, and he said, this was told to me by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi. So he gathered them all in front of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and said, And the Prophet said, well, what do you think about? And X person said one thing, and second person said another thing, and the third person said the whole multitude of things. And that multitude of things equated to that contemplation period equating to 70 years. I'm not going to quote the whole thing, but I do run a course which tells you about that hadith. Please do check me out.
Yeah.
But basically, it's about that contemplative state that allows you to start creating the better version of yourself, a lifetime of salah. And to be able to do that. So start meditating again.
Yeah.
Actually, don't get meditating. He'll take over the world, this one. If he's not meditating and creating so much already, can you imagine? What we're really intriguing, and dear viewers, is about creating that best version of you. And we're trying to give you as many tips as we possibly can from our own life experiences. You know, Brother Muhammad here is an absolute inspiration within our community. 26 years old, and what he's been able to do at 26, God knows what is going to happen in 20 years when you're my age. It's going to be, this guy's going to take over, honestly.
Allah, no, I don't know. I don't do anything, to be honest with you. I just, God does it.
It's every day taking the time to look at your life and to try to make it better. That journey towards betterment. You know, these 3 shows that we've done is called The Life of Purpose, and it's about creating that life of purpose, the life that you want to live, and the life that you want to be, very impactful. And I love the fact that you said you've got to look at what you're good at, what part of your day, what 30 minutes of your day, what hour of your day just flew by.
You know, that's the thing is, the reason I say that is because that's all I know. That's all I've applied.
Yeah.
Like the only thing really that I applied is that I looked at what 45 minutes over the span of 5 years. The first time that 45 minutes flew by, and then it happened again and again. I saw that trend, and I was like, how can I recreate that more often? And that's all I've been doing for the past 3 years. Is I've been putting myself in a position where I can recreate that flow state and give my gift that I assume is that I have to the world. Yeah. And that's all I've been trying to do. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed so many different things in my life. And all success goes back to Him. Like I don't take any praise for it, because I just feel like I always give this analogy. I feel like I am rowing, but He's steering.
Alhamdulillah.
Like He's taking it to places that I never thought He would go to. All I'm going to do is just keep rowing and let Him keep steering.
That's it. There are our guides in the front. You've got the Prophet, peace be upon him. You've got additional rowers that are pushing even harder, the 12 holy imams. And you've got Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is steering you along in that life journey. What intrigues me as well, so you've created that 45 minutes of your day, and you've done that over the last 3 years. At what stage did that become a healthy habit that you've inculcated into your life? Because surely at some point you do it something so repetitively that it just becomes part of your cycle. It's a habit that you do.
It's a lot, I'll be honest. I juggle a full-time job. And almost every evening there's something going on. I'm starting to learn how to incorporate more like carved out time to spend with my parents and stuff like that. That's an area that I'm very conscious that I need to do more in. It's a constant iterative process. I don't think what happens is you start to get a positive feedback loop, which is that when you hit a certain point where you don't have to go seek opportunities, they seek you. I think that's a very positive feedback loop that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can help you create. And then that helps it become a habit.
Yes.
Right? But until then, it's an active effort.
Yes, it is.
To go seek those opportunities. But one thing that genuinely catalyzes that to the nth degree is social media. If you showcase everything that you've done on social media in terms of events or anything that you do, what happens is people will see that, and then you'll get the next booking off the back of that. And then you do the same thing with that one, and the next booking comes in. And so that's a very good and easy way to get that habit going. And I think that can go for everything, whether it's business, whether it's speaking, whether you knit sweatshirts and sell them, take a picture of it and put it on there, and somebody will see that, and the more of a portfolio, I guess, you can put together online of who you are.
Yeah.
That's what it really is about. It's not about what you do as much as who you are.
Yes.
Right? You want people to be able to see it and be like, okay, I see what value this person wants to add to the world.
That's the key word there.
Yeah, it's
Value.
just about what value do you add to the world. Have a place where, and I think, and this isn't for everyone, not everyone wants to be on social media, that's fine. But if you don't mind it, have a place where people can at a glance see what value you add to the world.
Yes.
And that will allow you to open up more doors for yourself.
That's right. With that value within your creating, it's also the value for yourself. You start knowing your own value and your own purpose.
Yeah.
And surely you start this journey to creating the best version of you. But, you know, the initial stages, that struggle, that uphill struggle, it's difficult because, like, again, we use the metaphor about going to the gym. If you don't hit that threshold point, you know, you're grafting, and most people give up before they've hit that threshold.
That's me at the moment with
Well,
gym.
we all get there. It's everybody. We're all like that. We don't have that consistency sometimes but once you breach that threshold point, like you were saying, one booking, you put it online, you get another booking. You've gone past that threshold point.
It's like a ball of snow that you're pushing up a hill, and then you get to the peak of the hill, and then you give it one more push, and it goes,
and it just collects more and more and more and more momentum.
Like,
But you've got to get to the top of the hill. Once you're at the top of the hill, then you can see the beauty. On the way up, you're so concentrated on the fact that I need to get to the top of this mountain, this top of this hill.
But you don't even see where the top of the hill is. That's the craziest thing. All you see is what you're pushing.
That's it.
And you could be one push away, you could be 10 pushes away. But if you give up, it could have been that last one that would have, you know. It's like that picture of that guy digging for diamonds. Have you seen it?
Yes, I have.
And then he gives up on the last one where there was like a bunch of diamonds in front of him. It's just like when you're pushing that ball up the hill, you can't see when the peak, when that crescent is, when that tip is. It's called. There's a book called The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell, and it's about that sort of concept. A
very good book. That's right.
Cool.
But it's about knowing the tipping point for yourself. Your tipping point, my tipping point, two different places, right? Different ages, different mindsets, different environments, and it's about understanding yourself and investing in yourself. And this goes back to understanding yourself. You understand your Creator, knowing that Allah is closer than your jugular vein. He's with you, supporting you. And even the breath that we're taking, alhamdulillah, is giving praise to God for having that, and giving praise to God for having that energy, and knowing that we're striving and pushing towards where? Towards greatness for ourselves. One day, ultimately, we will, inshallah, be in front of Him. On that day of Qiyamah. And what will we be accountable for? What are we leaving behind in this world? That's what we need to focus on at some point.
We hope we can point back to our life and say, at least I tried to leave something greater than myself. I didn't just try and live for myself, but actually you gave me a gift and I've done my best to give it to the world. I think that's all it is, really. I once read a quote and it was really nice. It said, the purpose of life, what was it?
Hard to remember all these quotes, isn't it?
Because
they all get muddled up in your head sometimes. Yeah, definitely.
It was something along these lines, and but so something along these lines. But it's like the purpose of life is to find your gift. The journey of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. So the journey of life is finding your gift. And then once you found it, the purpose of your whole life is to then, now that you found that gift, to give it away. And
is that not what Ahlulbayt did?
Literally.
Imam Hassan alayhi salam gave away his wealth 3-4 times in his life. More than half, several times in his life. Imam Hussein.
Their gift wasn't just that. Their gift was the knowledge. Their gift was the rahmah. You know, they were so merciful. Their gift was to be the mercy of the alameen, right?
There you go, exactly.
They were sent, like Prophet Muhammad as well. He was sent as a mercy to the world. Because he was so merciful within himself that he became a mercy for the world.
There you go. And then look at his lineage. You know, the infallible Imams. Look at Imam Hussein alayhi salam, the sacrifice that was made on the 10th of Muharram in Karbala. You look at Imam Zain al-Abidin, you look at Imam Jafar as-Sadiq, you look at all the Imams and how they lived their lives and their values and the way that they invested in themselves, but also invested in the people around them. Their journey, obviously, they are infallible. They knew their purpose in life. We're struggling to find our purpose, but they're totally just giving it away, giving away the knowledge, giving away the wisdom, giving away this, and trying to better humanity. And within that, bettering humanity, you're bettering yourself.
Yeah.
You know, there is only one race in this world, and that's the human race. Does it matter your creed, your color, where you come from, what sect you are? It's just about creating the best version of you and investing in you and helping to support others. Because by lifting somebody else up, you're actually lifting yourself up. True?
Yeah.
Less burdens on yourself.
Yeah, and by lifting yourself up, you're lifting someone else up indirectly as well.
Yeah, there's a great film. It's called Pay It Forward. It's an oldish kind of film. I may be talking about Macaulay Culkin. He stars in it, and he's a young boy, and I know he's an adult now. But it's based on a true story of a young boy in Canada who has life-threatening disease, and he starts this phenomenon about paying it forward, doing a good deed towards somebody, and that person you've done a good deed towards then goes and gives a good deed towards somebody else.
You don't expect anything back
Don't
from them
expect
directly.
anything
they
back.
have to pay
and
someone
it just
else.
starts this ripple effect. This young boy created a phenomenon around the world.
Wow.
Just from this initiative.
Yeah.
It's inspirational.
You know what's beautiful about that is it can be applied like this in everyone's life.
Exactly.
Like just us hearing about it is that same ripple effect, and then we can go on and replicate in our own lives. And I remember one of my mentors once told me when I was younger, and I had just joined Heathrow, I was like, oh, thank you so much for giving me your time, stuff like that. And he was like, no worries, but I have to ask you for one thing. I was like, what? He's like, when you make it and you're, and you have young people asking you for time, give it to them.
Wow.
That's all I ask.
Well, that's what you're doing now.
I try, But then that's when I have young people thanking me, I tell them the same thing he told me.
There you go.
I'm like, whenever a young person, when you grow up and you become in a good position and young people ask you for advice, give it that help to them.
Yeah, pay it forward.
And I think that's something that our community needs to do more often. And actually, I've noticed something that I really noticed, a community that really does this really well is, to put it into perspective, right? Some of my closest, most successful friends are all from African heritage or Jamaican heritage, right? They are the most successful friends that I know, and the thing is, they're all God conscious, and they all help each other out. That's the one common theme that I found about them. Like those cultures, one thing that I've realized about them, that they do it much better than I felt like we do it in my personal Iraqi culture, is that they have an ability to help each other.
Amazing.
And help each other stand on each other's shoulders to go further.
Amazing.
So well. Yeah. And I resonate with them so deeply about that. And they don't only do it on a one-to-one basis, but they've built like structures and bursaries, and they've built like scholarships that are all funded from within to help more people, more young black people sort of stand on each other's shoulders to go further and further and further. And they've built real foundations in this space. And that's something I'd love to recreate in the Muslim culture, where actually we have giants, we have people who have succeeded. They're not just going to succeed and do good for themselves, but then actually they get the young people to stand on their shoulders and go further as well. And we do it in a structured way where we create a bursary or a scholarship, and it's something that actually gives them that, makes them feel proud of who they are and what they stand for, and gives them an environment where there's another Muslim and another Muslim and another Muslim who are all proud of being Muslims in the professional world, and they're killing it.
Yes.
And what that means is that a young person can grow up, a Muslim young person grow up and be like, well, he's openly Muslim and he's killing it.
Yep.
So I can be openly Muslim and I can kill it
So
too.
it's inspiring other people to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And what you're describing there is Garveyism. It's Marcus Garvey's movement, a Pan-African movement that happened back in the 40s, 50s, I believe, actually. And, that everybody helps each other, abolish slavery, bring people up, everybody standing on each other's shoulders to lift one another up, but knowing the person on top is going to reach down and pull you back up as well. And that cycle continues and continues and continues, and it never ends. We just got a few minutes left of the show. The time has gone so quickly. I can't believe it's part 3 of our show. We've got to do a part 4.
Yeah.
But your final words really for our audience, that creation of the best version of themselves. Maybe 1 or 2 tips that you could share with them just in that final few minutes, please, Mohammed.
So I like to come with some, I guess this is the first time I articulate that idea of autumn today, personally, and I think that's just one thing that I want to really leave myself with, because it's the first time I ever articulate these thoughts. But one thing that I'm discovering about myself recently is that my life comes in seasons, and actually each season comes with something beautiful. But if I try to understand that beauty with the same lens that I tried to understand last season's beauty in, I'm not going to see the same type of beauty. Autumn has a very different beauty to summer, which has a very different beauty to spring, which has a very different beauty to winter. Each of them are beautiful in their own right, and exactly in the same way, the seasons that we come with, the things that our interests that come in waves, the different things within our own lives that make our life beautiful are all very different, and they come and they shift and they shuffle and they change. Try to understand each season's beauty independently and see what you can do with that and really embrace it and enjoy it, because the next season that will come will be very different. But try to enjoy what you have in life at that time and see what is within there that helps you understand yourself. And like we said, when you understand that piece of the puzzle, you start to see how it clicks into the bigger picture. And just like that, you begin to understand yourself and therefore understand your Lord.
Beautiful. Amazing. It's been a fantastic show once again,
Always,
Mohammed.
yeah.
Honestly, an absolute honour to have you on there.
My
I'm
pleasure,
sure all the
man.
viewers have
Alhamdulillah.
benefited tenfold, including myself.
Today's conversation was amazing.
Oh.
I loved it.
We need to have more conversations like this. We'll definitely do a part 4, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Thank you so much. Dear viewers, we hope that you got a lot out of it. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of tips, practical tips that you can take on board your life. We do these shows because we want you to create the best version of yourself. By understanding the best version of you and developing yourself, you are going to understand your Creator further, inshallah ta'ala. And this will help you in many aspects of your life. We'll be back next week, the same time, same place, for another exciting episode of Ahlulbayt Live. We'll see you then, inshallah ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.